Plaintiff Amy Baird says the defendant is her younger brother. And not only was he kicked out of school twice for fighting, but he was also arrested for assaulting their mother. Amy's suing because she bailed the defendant out of jail when he was arrested again for assault, but he failed to repay her. Defendant Stephen Tucker says Amy appears to be nice and sweet, but when he was 8 years old, she was coming home from rave parties high on ecstasy. Stephen claims Amy's the one who got into physical fights with her mother, and he's countersuing his sister for an illegal eviction.
Start with you.
First of all, I'd like to start out by saying I was here 4 years ago, and I thought the case, you ruled it very fair. You're the only judge I wanted to hear this case.
Thank you. You just want to see Doyle, but I'll take that. I'll take that. Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
So Stephen is my younger brother. I literally changed his diapers when he was a baby. By the time he was 8 or 9, I had moved out of the house. So I know he's had some trouble.
How much older are you?
I'm 8 years older.
Okay.
So I know Stephen's had some trouble since then. I know in high school he was suspended at least twice for fighting. And in August of last year, my mom called me and said that she and Stephen had gotten into a huge fight. And I found out Stephen had actually been arrested for assaulting my mom. So I thought maybe the kid just needs some geographical therapy. So I said, okay, just pack up, leave Carolina.
When you spoke with him, what did he tell you, though? When you said you assaulted mom, what was that about?
Well, I didn't even talk to him about that arrest because we had more pressing issues, because the judge had actually signed a restraining order restraining him from going and living back home with mom. So he had to move immediately, and he didn't have anywhere else to go. So of course he calls big sister.
What was your mother's allegation? What did she tell you?
I wasn't there, but I have his mugshot, and you can tell by looking at his eyes, I'm sure he was messed up.
He's a dope fiend. Let me see here. Something's wrong.
Not a dope fiend.
It's not normal behavior.
I know that he has had a history of smoking a little pot here and there.
Weed don't make you jump on your mother.
My mom said that she found pot once in the back seat of her car, and I know that he does get a temper when he drinks.
Okay. Some people get violent when they drink, but when people smoke weed, they chill out. They lay back. Not out. Ask for some food. They got the munchies. Laugh. Go ahead.
Okay, so I thought maybe he just needs to get away from the same people, same town. Maybe he'll stay out of trouble. So he packed up, left Carolina, came to live with me down in Louisiana. Everything was cool for about 2 months. And then he had found a job. He even got a new girlfriend. And I gotta tell you, I'm his older sister. I didn't approve of this girl. I knew she was trouble.
What was wrong with her? What didn't you approve about her?
I didn't like anything about her. I didn't like anything about her. I didn't like anything about her.
Just give me some examples of what you didn't like.
I didn't like her stupid pink hair. I didn't like the fact that she drank all the time.
Okay, that's something that should be questionable.
Exactly.
Okay, I got you.
So they told me one night that they were going to go out to this bar, and I said, no, that's not a good idea. You don't need to do that. You've got to work. Sure enough, lo and behold, 3 o'clock that morning, he called me from Ouachita Parish Jail and said he needed to get bailed out. Promised me he would pay me back, begged me. Amy, please come get me, please come get me.
What did you find out had occurred?
He was arrested for aggravated assault.
Did you hear the facts or the allegations?
I found out later that he had hit a guy with a baseball bat. Now, while he was in jail, he led me to believe that the whole thing was a mistake and the guy had really kind of pushed him into just defending himself. He said the whole thing was going to be eventually dismissed or he would be not guilty. So I kind of felt bad for him, you know, like, okay, maybe I'll get him out of jail. But what did you come to find out later? The guy actually said something about Stephen's trashy girlfriend, and Stephen went and got a baseball bat and hit the guy.
Now, they had bats laying around at this club? Well, go ahead. I'll let you give your side. Backseat of his car? Go ahead, sir. You give me your side.
Well, first of all, Your Honor, I'd like to say Amy's a very presentable person. She always has been. You think she's Martha Stewart. But the truth is, a little backstory, she might have been changing my diapers when she was 8, but when I was 8, she was showing me how to use glow sticks. She was coming home from rave parties after rolling on ecstasy.
Didn't Martha Stewart do time?
Yeah, that's a good point. Good point. Good point.
And, you know, those things influence you. And she brought up the thing with my mom, and it was a misunderstanding. It was not assault and battery. I never laid a hand on my mother. What happened was it was a heated verbal argument, and she called the police because she felt threatened.
Okay.
Verbal arguments don't land you in jail for assaulting your mom, Stephen.
Can I finish? So basically, the cops came to make sure everything would be okay, and that's why she called them. They then had no choice in South Carolina but to take me to jail. It wasn't her charging me. She didn't press charges. They had to do it. They also had to file the restraining order. The same restraining order that she talked to the judge about, and he later revoked after I had already moved so that I could see her again later.
He is right. They will arrest someone for domestic assault if you threaten or if you cause them to feel threatened. Particularly your mother. If your mother calls the police and says, hey, I think my son is going to jump on me. He's talking extra crazy. Something's wrong with him. Would you please come and get him? They will. And in most states now, they have a 72-hour holding period in domestic violence cases where all the person really has to do is convince the officer that this person had threatened them with harm or indeed harmed them, and they will take them and hold them and issue a restraining order. So go ahead.
I mean, that happened with my mom, and I regret the whole situation. You know, me and drinking don't go good together, and I've tried to slow down recently. I'm trying to just stop drinking. But more to do with my mom, I also remember as a little kid when my sister was probably around my age, she was having a lot of problems, you know, partying, drinking, going out. But not only that, her and my mom actually got into physical altercations where they're pulling hair and dragging each other across a carpet. And I saw it with my own eyes, so it's...
Never happened?
I was a witness.
I have never hit my mom in my whole life. If I had, she would have called the cops on me too.
No, not when she had already hit you.
All right. It's a good point. She's not going to get herself locked up for child abuse. So,
well, okay, granted, my mom's hard to get along with. That's why I said, you know what, all right, you got in a fight with mom, whatever, come live with me. I get that.
Tell me about when you went to live with her.
You know, at first, it was good. Like she said, I got a good job. Me and her were getting along, everything was good. I started seeing the girl that she didn't, you know, like, she disapproved of her. And me and her were out one night, and there was a guy, and he made a comment about her body. And I was already, at this point, so intoxicated. I mean, I don't even remember it happening. And I went to the car, and there was a bat in my trunk. And I hit him a couple times with the bat. So after that, I was on probation for a while. I was charged with aggravated assault. And that was, you know, the second time I'd been arrested for assault. So after that, you know, I'm really trying now to change.
Don't forget, there's a marijuana charge too, because you had pot on you when you hit him, so. And I have evidence of that also. This is the bail application that we filled out.
And tell me about that. You obviously agreed to bail him out and he agreed to repay. That's why you're suing him for the bail money?
Absolutely. He had a good job. I figured he could afford to pay me back at some reasonable
time. So did you agree to repay her? This $4,200 is a lot of money.
$4,294 was the total amount.
I did agree to repay her, but it's hard to repay somebody bail money after going to jail, and then you get kicked out with no notice.
But I get
Hold on. No, it's easier because you don't have to pay rent.
He lived with me for 3 months.
It's easy to pay her if she kicks you out.
Even after I bailed him out, he lived with me for 3 months. I gave him 3 months.
So your defense is she kicked you out?
Yes.
Why did she say she was kicking you out?
Well, you know, she knew that I smoked a little pot before I even came to Louisiana. And one day I come home and she's going through my room and she finds the pot, I guess.
Why was she going through your room?
That's a good question.
Here she is today.
Why did you go through my room?
Because everything in his behavior told me that he was still messing up. He wasn't going to work on time. He was coming in late.
Messing up as in what?
It's just the habits of a user, somebody with a problem. When you're habitually late for work, or you don't come home, or you just come home smelling like marijuana. So when he finally came home, when he found me going through his stuff, I told him I refuse to enable and in fact subsidize your substance abuse problem. I said, what's really going on? Do you have a habit? Do you need rehab? Because if so, we can call your probation officer and talk about this.
Okay. Sir, Tell me how you ended up leaving then.
Well, she told me that day, basically to get out. And
Did she find marijuana?
yeah, she did find marijuana, but
And I have a 4-year-old
Had she
daughter.
instructed you not to bring any in or use it in the house?
not before that. She hadn't.
You didn't know
instructed me.
that she didn't want you to bring marijuana into the house?
With
I mean,
my daughter?
I knew she didn't want it around her daughter, but I would never use that around her daughter. I would never put either of them in jeopardy of getting in trouble with
Is it
either of
legal
those.
there?
No, sir.
Well, you did put her in jeopardy.
What if my daughter had been going through your stuff? What if she had found it?
Or what if mom would have been over there and somebody would have gotten in a fight with mom again, as you all like to fight mom,
It's easy.
and the
It's easy
police
to do.
come and they say, well, let me search around.
Exactly.
And then bingo, they find illegal drugs. You
And
got
besides,
me?
when you're on probation, they have the right to come in your house and search anytime
That's
they
a good
want.
point. Sure do. Under certain circumstances, depends
Right,
on the
right.
type of probation. They do. All right, sir. I can't grant you an illegal eviction because she did right. She is entitled to an emergency eviction when illegal activity is occurring in her household with a tenant. So she was able to evict you that very moment that she discovered illegal marijuana there. You should have kept it somewhere in the park under the bushes or something. Like the kids in some neighborhoods, and they see the police, they throw it in the bushes. She's about like the police.
Yeah, she really is.
Sounds like it, but she was trying to look out for your best interest. You were on probation, number one, and you knew that possession of marijuana is a crime, and you had it in her home, exposing her to charges, and so therefore I'm going to grant her judgment because you agreed to pay her the bond money. $4,244 is what she's requesting, and your only defense is she kicked you out. And her defense to putting you out without notice is that your illegal activity put her in jeopardy, and therefore she had a right to an emergency eviction that didn't require anyone's approval. Have a good day. Judgment for the
Judge.
clerk.
I'm telling Mom. I'll tell
ahead.
Martha
She'll be
Stewart
real
when we
proud
get
of you
home,
for
by the way.
suing me.
Yeah, whatever.
I don't think you deserve a dime of it. How can you throw out your own brother and then sue him in court?
I don't even want to hear this right now.
Right,
I don't even want
right.
to hear this right now.
I wouldn't have an excuse either
Just
if I
wait
could
for
do that.
Christmas. You know, what if I
Right.
had been our
I
older
would be
sister? You'd still be in
ashamed right
jail.
now. Right.